In this video, we are talking about why having flexible calves matters, as well as how you go about stretching them out. Now, I was recently talking to a friend who does a lot of running. She runs 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathon, marathon, so she's always running, always training for something. Now, she recently asked me, how do I go about stretching my calves because they're always very tight? So the first thing I asked her to do was try and do her best squat. And it looked something like this. Now you can see that obviously that is not a full squat. It's lacking a lot of depth. This is the first reason why having a fully flexible calf matters. Now you might be thinking, but I don't do squats, so this doesn't apply to me. The truth is, everybody does a squat whenever they stand up or sit down from a chair. Obviously, the lower the chair is, the more deep you have to go. Now, if you're lacking the ankle mobility to do a proper squat, the body will try and find different ways to compensate. The first compensation we'll see is that the feet will do something called pronation. So if this is the arch of my foot, what will happen is it'll roll in and flatten out in order to get a little bit deeper into the squat. Now what this does is not only stress the foot itself, but it pulls the knees together, and then it also changes the angle of the hips. Now, this isn't good for the foot, the knee, or the hip. So in any of those joints, you are more likely to have some sort of injury if this is how you squat. The other option is to lean the trunk forward more and then push the hips back, keeping the knee behind the toe because you're lacking the mobility to put the knee in front of the toe. Now, what this position does is it puts more stress on the low back, especially if you're doing a back squat with a barbell or some sort of weight, because the angle of the low back is more horizontal than it should be. Another reason why this is important is when the calf is tight, it changes how your foot and ankle move when you're walking or running, specifically putting a lot of stress on the arch of the foot and the structures that support the arch of the foot. What we'll see is a high prevalence of something called plantar fasciitis when people have really tight calves. So now we know why it's important, so how do we go about fixing that? Something that you can start with, which is very easy, is foam rolling the calf muscle. Now what I like to do is put one leg on top of the other and then roll back and forth. If you do have a very tight calf, this is not going to be very comfortable, but it is a good way to warm up the tissue. Now, once you've done that, go ahead and stretch the calf in both a bent and a straight knee position. Now, when the knee is straight, we're stretching what's called the gastrocnemius muscle. When the knee is bent, you're stretching what's called the soleus muscle. The soleus muscle is more important for squatting, whereas the gastrocnemius, having flexibility there, is more important with walking and running. Now, what you do is you just let the heel hang off a step and then keep the knee straight, stretch the muscle, and then after a while, go ahead and switch to knee bent, same position. That is a static stretch, which by itself, from what I've seen, isn't really effective in producing long-term change. So what we can do is mix in some dynamic stretches as well. An easy one to do is a lunge. Now what you'll want to do is make sure you keep your heel down and then try and push your knee as far forward as you can. The farther forward the knee goes, the more stretch you'll have in the calf. Now once you've done all of these exercises for several weeks, you will notice some improvement. Don't expect that you're going to wake up tomorrow and your calf is going to be fully flexible. That's not the way it works. It takes a long time to improve your flexibility. Now, in order to maintain that flexibility, once you are flexible enough, you want to incorporate something like a lunge or a full depth squat into your exercise routine. Now, the reason for this is because this position will put you in full range of motion. If you do that range of motion regularly, what we'll see is that you will be able to maintain that long term. Now, there is the scenario of people who have a tight calf because it has to work harder and it's it's making up for deficiencies in other muscles in the lower leg. So there are other muscles that do what's called plantar flexion, which helps you go up on your toes. This is the primary motion of the calf. When these other muscles are weak, the calf is basically doing more than it should need to. A good way and an easy way to strengthen these muscles is to add some either barefoot walking or walking with a minimally supportive shoe. What a shoe does is it helps support the arch of the foot, and then because it does that, the muscles of the foot and lower leg really don't need to support the arch. Long term, this is a problem because these muscles get weaker. Now, if you add the barefoot walking or with the minimalist shoe, the muscles have to engage in order to keep the arch up, as well as the muscles will help pull the toes down into the ground, and those will help to offload the calf long term so that it doesn't have to make up for these deficiencies. So that is all I have for you today. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you hit that like button. Otherwise, if you want to learn more about how we can build a body that will last a full lifetime and be functional throughout that lifetime, then go ahead and subscribe for future content.